Hi, you may not know me, but I know you. I'm the Watchpony. But did you know I had a name? It was Knowledge Sight. I bet you also didn't know. I used to be a crystal pony. 1,012 years ago, I lived a normal life in the Crystal Empire. I was a studious young colt. I loved to read books, but more than that, I loved to read other authors' stories. My favorite story being the legend of the Crystal Princess. My parents were travelers. They settled in the Crystal Empire, despite them being unicorns. I consider myself a crystal pony. I was born and raised in the Crystal Empire my whole life. All my friends were crystal, my home as well. And I was skilled at archiving information, as explained by my cutie mark. An eye with a WP on it. I don't know what it meant at the time, but I didn't mind. I worked as a young colt till I was practically full grown, working as an archiver for the Crystal Empire Library. The librarian was one of my best friends. She was always nice. Told me not to work too hard. Take your time and enjoy your youth, she says, but I never listened. I was in charge of reading books, writing down historical events and important press letters to the city, and write them down on history books. My dream is to someday own my own line of history books that archive the history of all of Equestria. But the Crystal Empire was a good start. Then, something unbelievable happened. I was given a job in the castle with King Sombra. It was a dream come true. There, I can archive and manage all the letters to the king and catalog all the new rules and declarations made by the royal office. And King Sombra was good at his job. Until one day I noticed him embracing some strange behaviors. He wasn't acting like himself. He was becoming corrupted by something. I don't know exactly what it was, but I was loyal to my king, and I was determined to find out what was making him act this way. I was worried he might be becoming evil. I knew and practiced magic, but I needed to study medical magic. I read books upon books of medical spells and corruption spells, but to no avail. There was nothing that archived for his condition that I fear was taking over him. One night, though, while I was doing late night reading on more medical books, he called me up to one of his chambers. By this time, it had been like a few years now. I've been promoted to his personal secretary, so I usually have to seal and approve papers for new laws and such. And this night, something big happened. He declared in slavery on the entire empire and his residents. My family, my friends would all be enslaved, everyone except for those that work in the castle. "Why do you want to do this?" I asked. He responded,
"All of Equestria is at our disposal. The Crystal Empire must expand, and my rule must be worthy of striking fear into others' hearts, so the Empire will reign for centuries to come."
"Your Highness, I don't think we should force your people to do it against their will. I think we should encourage them to stand with you, and with the Crystal Heart, be a stronger nation. With the love of the Crystal Heart, we can never be forgotten."
Next, I believe the Crystal Princess will return, don't you? The Crystal Princess has abandoned us, and I will not do the same to all of you. We will stand together and fight if we need to take over all of Equestria even.
I had no choice. I had to approve the order. I still vowed complete loyalty toward my king. But if he keeps this up, my loyalty will soon run out. It's been months now. I haven't left the castle, and all my family and friends are in chains outside. Since I worked for the office, I had no co-workers to talk to, except for the mail pony, who would fly in weekly and tell me how the world looks. We talked for less than a minute, because that was all the time we had before I had to report back to the office. He was green and red Pegasus with a star-looking cutie mark. Never told me his name though. Shame, because we could have been good friends. I looked through King Sombra's office one day without him knowing. When he went in person into the city to fight a foreign red unicorn with a fire-like mane who was trying to help some of the crystal ponies escape. I took this chance. While he was gone, I would go into his office and see if there's anything I could use as blackmail or something I could send to Princess Celestia in Canterlot to notify her about our condition so she could send help. But to my luck, I found something worse. I saw plans of magical armor that he invented. That, well, if worn, will turn anyone into a brainwashed soldier under his complete control. And with that, he plans to attack Canterlot and take over all of Equestria. I had to show this to the princess. I'll sneak out this page and send it with the male Pegasus when he picks up the mail and give it to the princess. When I touched the letter, however, a magical surge activated. Next thing I knew, I was trapped in a cage of black crystals. I should have known. Sombra rigged it to test my loyalty, but I obviously failed. And now I'm forced to wait out my punishments that King Sombra will give me. Most likely death. That's what happened to most of his betrayers. When he finally showed up, I was expecting either death by starvation in the dungeon, or a fatal blow of magical energy straight to the head. But he wasn't generous.
You have worked for me for years, and for a while I thought you have changed to see my goal as I do. But this is not the case. I trusted you with my most important secrets, and you tried to stop my plans to expand the nation.
You planned to take over Equestria like an evil tyrant!
In all the time you've worked here, you have never raised your voice to me before. It's clear as crystal what I need to do with you now. You will be taken to the dungeon and die slowly of starvation. That is an order. You will also be cursed with seeing your worst fear every day until the day you die, so you can forget about reading another book or using magic at all. Using magic will only make your visions worse. You will be all alone, watching your fears for the rest of your life. So long, Watchpony.
And with that, in a flash of strong magic, I was in the dungeon. Dark, musty. There was already decaying bodies of long-deceased prisoners, some even reduced to skeletons. I thought to myself for a minute. Then I was remembering any spells that could help me in this situation. But then my vision became blurred. Next thing I saw was home. I saw my family taken away by the soldier armor of King Sombra. When that was over, I saw the same thing happen to my friends. And when that was done, I saw it happen to me. And for what felt like 3 days, I saw the nightmarish visions. They prevented me from seeing anything in my surroundings. It was brutal. But believe it or not, I was trying to feel with my actual hooves and feel for something that can break this curse. Even though I knew in my head there was only one way to make the vision stop. Sombra either didn't know or forgot that I was reading all these medical books and curses. I was trying to remember one certain spell that can help me see without my eyes, but I can't for the life of me cast it, not with these visions grabbing all my attention and focus. I studied the effects of the spell. It usually takes a snap out of it or a shake to exit the trance, but Sombra made this one permanent. For this case, I needed to get rid of my eyes. I was feeling the ground for anything that can do the job. I found a bone, most likely from one of the skeleton remains. I felt it had a sharp tip where it snapped, and held it between my hooves. Took a deep breath. saw the vision of my family being attacked with the sharp sting of a cut. It went straight underneath my eye before I finally dragged it back up, hitting the actual thing. I cried out in pain. It stopped my visions for a second. Around him were these windows of Pony's lives and places in the world. The pain was getting worse and started clouding up my field of view. It felt like I was falling through 5 worlds a second. It felt like my other eye was gonna burst. It hurt so much. I pulled the bone out of my left eye, and with a little more focus, I stabbed directly into the right one. I couldn't see anything after that. The world was quiet. All I saw was black. I felt the blood running down from my eye sockets, flowing down my body, missing my mouth, and all I can hear was my breathing, soft trickle of blood rolling down my face. I was unused to the sudden stillness, and for the first time in over a week or so, I finally fell asleep. I woke up like a blind pony, feeling the ground, listening to my surroundings. It took a while to remember what I had done. I hadn't had a chance to clean myself up, but the first things first, I steadied myself, prepped my horn, and glowed, trying to remember the spell. I struggled for a bit. At first, I was only able to see colors and shapes and lines, but eventually I saw a pony. I saw a pony with a white coat and black mane, with 2 streaks of red down his face. Next thing I saw my own face, looking back at me. Oh! I stepped back. After all, an eyeless pony can scare anyone. But I also saw myself moving the way I was moving. It was like I was looking into a mirror, but there were no mirrors. I wanted to look down at my hooves, and then my line of view moved down. Then I tried to look at my horn and see if it was glowing, casting the spell. Then I moved my line of sight to my horn. Then I tried moving it behind me. Then I saw the entire cell. It was like I had a pair of flying eyes that can see anything at any angle. Soon I saw the cell for what it really was. There wasn't even a bed here, but I needed to do something about my eyes. The bone was most likely infected and I needed medical treatment. I gave myself a quick cleansing spell that I learned from one of the journals, but magic wasn't advanced enough to repair my eyes. Though I thought, wait, what about the library in Canterlot? They had a much bigger archive for magic since unicorns are more common there. As soon as I thought about the library, suddenly I was there. Or at least it felt like it was. I remembered I was still in the cell, but amazed to see how fast it was for me to be anywhere in Equestria. I wasted no time looking at all the open books that ponies were reading or left open, and when I saw a spell that could do the trick, the pony immediately closed it and put it back on the shelf where it belonged. How could I read the book now? I can't grab it. I can't interact with it. Well, then I thought, what if I see inside the book? I looked deeper into the book, and soon I started looking at the pages. It took up my whole field of view, but I was reading the book. Every page. I was reading the book while it was closed. This was amazing. Soon I found what I wanted, a spell that can heal wounds. It required a lot of skill, but I had time, so I practiced it many times on corpses. It didn't bring them back to life, but broken bones soon healed, torn flesh was magically sealed. It was almost like rewinding time for the section of the body. It took all my focus to cast it, which means I had to cast my repair spell blind, so I could repair my eyes finally. I took a deep breath, looked at myself one last time, like a mirror, then cut my vision spell. I felt my skin tingle. I felt the flesh where my eyes were feeling tighter and tighter and tighter until it felt like my eyes were sewn shut. Soon the spell was done. I couldn't open my eyes though. I felt like my eyelids disappeared. I panicked and casted the vision spell to see in my horror that the spell actually worked. My eyes were healed, but my eyes were gone. Entirely. It looked like I was born without eyes at all. The blood was cleaned from my face, but I can never be normal again. The healing spell was permanent. To say I was disappointed would be an understatement. I was terrified. What will ponies think of me and the way I look? But that also means I have to cast the vision spell forever now. During my time there, I was cheating food for my body and using a body nourishment spell to fool me that I was full. But nourishment spells wasn't enough. I haven't eaten real food in weeks. I haven't showered, but I was using spells to keep me clean for the most part. Either way, I know I only got one chance to get out of here. Knowing King Sombra, he rigged the door to notify him. Knowing King Sombra, he likely rigged the door to notify him if I escaped. So I need to escape when he's busy, when he's too far away to stop me. Then, a miracle happened. Turned out, the male pony I mentioned pulled through. As soon as he noticed I was gone, he had a strong suspicion that King Sombra knows what happened to me. Alerted the princess to take action as soon as possible. And when they did, I saw from afar they were coming alone but together. But was that going to be enough to take on King Sombra? Turns out it was. I knew this was my chance. I braced myself that I would blast that door and run out the hallway, up the stairs, blast another pair of doors, and I'm free. I was waiting, and then, perfect. King Sombra was being cast into the ice. I immediately blasted the door, started running, but King Sombra wouldn't go down without taking the whole kingdom with him. Who knew that my saviors would be the ones to trap me next? I was frozen in time. I was stuck with 2 hooves outside my prison door, almost mocking me by how little my freedom lasted. But I saw the entire kingdom and every pony in it. And I see everyone else is frozen in time. I was still able to see everything because the vision spell was still in effect. It seemed that when the Crystal Empire froze, any spell being cast would remain cast. And since my vision spell depended on me being conscious, my consciousness was also awake. But that also meant I can't stop. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I can't stop casting the spell. No matter how hard I tried, I was forced to essentially watch everything for the rest of my life. I never got tired, but you can imagine I probably got bored. I researched the Crystal Empire but could not find Sombra anywhere. Then I tried looking elsewhere. I saw the entire world celebrate the end of King Sombra's rule, and the 2 princesses were praised, but I did not see the Crystal Princess anywhere. I guess she was a legend after all. If I was forced to watch something for the rest of my life, then at least let me watch something entertaining. But you know what they say about wishes. Shortly after the defeat of King Sombra, a new foe appeared, with a body like a Draconicus, an extremely powerful entity that overthrew the princesses, his land of madness, and horrible as this all was. Then they discovered something I never saw before, the Tree of Harmony. Using that, they created the elements of harmony and defeated discord with that. Soon they built a castle a little short away from that tree, not knowing that tree was going to be underneath a spot that was going to be very, very special. By the time discord was gone, and Princess Luna and Celestia were ruling the empire, Luna became unexpectedly cruel. She lashed out at her sister. I was hoping she wouldn't get corrupted with dark magic after that fight with King Sombra, but somehow Luna became overpowered with envy and turned into Nightmare Moon. I feared for Celestia. How could this end well? It didn't. Princess Celestia had to ban her sister using the elements of harmony that they just used to destroy discord. Things then finally became normal. There was peace, happiness. I got to see it all. I got to see families have fun at the Griffin Empire. I saw the innovations of Manhattan. I saw Saddle Arabia, places I have dreamed of. I've always wanted to travel to places that I've read about in books, and now I get to see it all. I see ponies that have entertained, innovated. I even saw ponies fall in love, have a child, and start a family. It was a beautiful sight. Of course, there was less fortunate events I would have not wanted to see. Loved ones pass away, accidents that hurt others, even ponies harming others. I couldn't do anything to help, no matter how hard I tried, or I can only watch. With so much time to myself, I even invented a few games to entertain myself to pass the time. I would try to remember specific moments that are my personal favorites, and I would rate them from 10 to 1. I would try to go past 10, but 10 is like the most I can remember. In a way, I feel sort of left out. I wish I could play with friends, eat out with family, or even just talk with someone. It was lonely at moments, but with so much time to think about it, I learned that if others are happy and you embrace the positives that others make, merely witnessing it with them just feels as good as taking part in it. Even if they don't notice you. There are plenty of moments that keep me entertained, like I have witnessed for the first time. An alicorn was being made. Her name was Miyamori Cadenza, gifted with the magic to spread love to others. I've witnessed 6 fillies all get their cutie marks at the same time, all caused by a sonic rain boom. This was no mere coincidence. I knew this would lead to many great things in the future. So I watched these 6 very carefully, saw them grow and embrace their talents. Soon they all lived in that one special spot, Ponyville. I knew this would all come back together. But right before the night of the 1000th moon, when the stars would aid in Nightmare Moon's escape, I had a hunch it would be up to these 6 to stop her. Last time, remember, Celestia took the elements and stored them in the abandoned castle. Seems she liked to think ahead as well. It was there that the elements of harmony became embedded into these 6 mares, and I knew that these 6 mares would be the ones that would save me from my frozen prison. And don't think I've forgotten about Princess Cadence. She eventually fell in love with the blood relative of the element of magic, so it was no surprise that she married him shortly after. It's about 1,000 years since I've been frozen, and never have I seen changelings plan such an organized event at Canterlot. But it was thanks to this event that the Crystal Empire returned. Cadence was replaced by an evil changeling queen and was hypnotizing her groom, but with the help of the element bearers, the original Cadence returned, unleashing a magical wave that reached nearly every inch of Equestria, blowing away all the changelings. And when it hit the Crystal Empire, it woke us up. It woke Sombra up. The entire empire was pushed back into the surface. I was finally free to move around. Sombra was still in the ground. To everyone in the empire, it felt like they were gone for a second. To me, it felt like the entire 1,000 years. But I had no time to waste. I had to notify Celestia somehow. The best option was to notify a guard. However, I can't go there myself. My lack of eyes will make me look suspicious, like someone who practices dark magic. So I shot a light beam straight into the sky like a flare, until it was noticed by a guard. It took a few days, but a squad came over, saw the empire, and asked around and figured out that we were trapped for 1,000 years, and that we're back. And so is Sombra. Soon, Cadence and Shining Armor were looking over, putting a spell over the kingdom to delay Sombra. Since Sombra was out, I was out through his office, gathering any books of our empire as possible, any information about the Crystal Heart. All information of the Crystal Heart was gone except for one book, which he stole 1 page. I was looking frantically for that 1 page. I ran out of time. I saw from afar that Twilight and company were coming toward the library. I had to blend in and go into the library, so a black cloak will do. It was the only thing lying around Sombra's headquarters. Quickly and carefully, I put all the books back. The crystal heart was the only thing that I could not see where it is because Sombra hid it away so well. So when Twilight opened a hidden staircase in the throne room, I was very surprised. Seeing the door scared me. It was cast with the same spell that drove me insane, and I was worried it would happen to Twilight. Thankfully, she had company. At last they reached the crystal heart. If I had eyes, they'd be tearing right then. But they were cutting it really thin. Sombra was almost fully restored, Twilight was trapped in the same trap that got me, and Cadence was barely standing. But like I suspected a long time ago, it was Cadence that saved us all. Spike carried the crystal heart to Cadence. Cadence restored the crystal heart back to the center of the city, and that's when I heard.
Behold, the crystal princess!
Of course, her magical wave brought out the Empire back up. It was her spell that repelled Sombra, and the crystal heart that brought her energy and hope back to the kingdom. Then I knew she was destined to be the next ruler of the Crystal Empire. I, of course, was merely watching from a safe distance. Then, a little filly walked up to me, spooked me a bit.
Hi, mister. Have you seen my mother?
She saw my eyeless face and gasped. Said, "You poor thing." Then she took off her hair tie and wrapped it around my head.
There. I hope you feel better.
I smiled. Then I used my magic to print a white arrow on the ground, pointing to her mother. And I said, "There, follow that arrow right there, and it'll take you to your mother." She followed happily, and her mother was finally relieved to see her little filly. That was a close one. I can't really bring myself to interact with anyone after being unnoticed for 1,000 years. It was hard to be able to be seen again, to be noticed. My family and friends are sadly all gone when fighting King Sombra or when enslaved, so I was on my own for now. It's hard to be able to be seen again, to be noticed. My family and friends are sadly all gone when fighting King Sombra and being enslaved, so I'm on my own for now. I wanted a special place to call my own, so I decided to reside in the abandoned castle of the Two Sisters. Why there? Well, you already know that. And if you haven't been listening. I was living a happy life. There are plenty of luxurious rooms that are hidden away by trapdoors, which I knew the secret to. Didn't expect the main six to come over and pay me a visit one day. Decided to have a little bit of fun with them. So all the things I have done for the Empire has been unnoticed. No one ever gave me a congratulations, but I didn't mind. The Crystal Empire is safe, and that was good enough for me. So I'm just going to keep doing what I do. Maybe now I could finally start living my life. Maybe now I could finally start meeting friends and seeing others, and maybe even fall in love. But who would fall in love for an eyeless pony like me? So if you ever get that feeling that you're being watched, don't mind me. I'm just doing my job. And you may now look away.